I'm Lily.
And I'm Jordan.
And we're the Drakes.
Welcome to Drake Academy. On today's episode, we're going to start off by talking about the decks we hate the most that aren't Kinnan. Really, these are just decks that we struggled to play against historically. And we'll take a break from our Kinnan hate train a little bit to talk through why we struggle against those decks. Before breaking into our main topic today, which is going to actually be split into two parts over the next two videos. Today, we're going to identify what a CEDH deck looks like. That way, when you're looking at a commander, you can know right away if you're looking at a CEDH commander or not. Next week, then, we're going to talk through how do you actually pick your CEDH deck now that you've been armed with the knowledge of what a CEDH deck looks like. So we'll break down kind of this week on all the different aspects of what make a CEDH commander. And then next week, we'll talk through then how do you actually pick your CEDH commander based on your particular playstyle. Before, like always, we'll answer some audience questions. And then lastly, we'll break down the meta from the big Texas tournament that just happened this past weekend. But before we get into the main video, let's take a word from our sponsors. So first up, we have the Kraken's Cup. That'll be this weekend, March 21st in Nags Head, North Carolina, which is in the Outer Banks region. Nags Head should be a really fun event. We think we've got 59 or 60 signups. So didn't quite get to the big 20K that they're looking for, but should still be a nice solid 5-round tournament. So still pretty excited for it. Yeah, should be fun. I think this is going to be, there's some interesting competition that's coming out for this event. So even though it's a little bit on the smaller side, I still think it'll be a pretty tough event.
It's like a local +5 Northeasterners.
Yeah, pretty
which
much. Right?
I really appreciate. And I appreciate the proximity to the beach. Looking at where our B&B is, peak placement.
Even if we scrub out, we always
There's
have the
still the beach.
So it should be a fun event. Then next weekend, we'll be at the Boil, March 28th in New Orleans, Louisiana. So the Boil is actually starting to pick up some pretty good steam. Looks like they've gotten about 140 players-ish at the time of this video. So I'm pretty excited for that. I think this will end up being a pretty cool event. It's they're kind of turning it into a big expo. So we're going to have artists there. There's going to be lots of side events, on top of the big main event. So should be a good time. We're really looking forward to it. Obviously, the Boil has meant a lot to Lily and I in our careers. So should be another awesome event. And really, I'll go to any Land Go event that is ever on the schedule. So we're really excited for it, and I think it'll be really cool. Plus, we get to do the team showcase, which should be really fun and kind of getting to kick off the team thing. So should be cool.
Yeah, should be exciting.
We're also sponsored by Heavy Play. Well, Team Monolith is sponsored by Heavy Play, but as members of Team Monolith, we want to go ahead and shout that out here as well. So you can go to heavyplay.com/monolith or use code monolith when you're checking out to get 10% off your order. That does benefit the team. So please, if you're here to support the team, you want to help us, definitely go use that code on Heavy Play's website. Can tell you from using the Heavy Play equipment, it's really awesome. I was walking around with it literally all weekend. I don't know if you saw me. Actually, yes, a couple weekends ago.
Last weekend.
Yeah.
A
few weekends ago. Whatever.
Yeah.
But if you were in the Ohio tournament, you probably saw me carrying around the gear. It's super nice because it literally all just kind of clicks together with magnets, and then you just pick it up and walk away. And and yours is still nice too. Like, even though you have to roll up the mat and put it in the thing, you just kind of clip it all together. What I really like about it is I didn't have to use a backpack like at all.
I was going to say, I loved the playmat tube. I think I said this the last time we talked about Heavy Play too, but I really like the trifold design. Yeah,
I just like that. Nice. I didn't have to carry anything around except that. So that was really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so please go there to support the team. All right, with that being said, Lily, our decks that we dislike playing against. So this can be a mixture of good and bad decks. I think we'll just talk through a couple that we really dislike playing against for various reasons. Either because we lose to them a lot, or their play patterns are annoying, or whatever it is, right? And we won't talk about Kinnan, other than to say Kinnan would be number one.
It's there. It's there.
So not counting Kinnan.
It's there in spirit.
Lily, what is one of the decks that you do not enjoy playing against?
Honestly, and I know people are gonna get me for this one. Rogthras.
Oh, shocker. Rogthras.
Yeah. Another cradle-based strategy. I don't like that it can go from 0 to 100. It's kind of like the Kinnan problem for me, where it's a deck that just goes rock, make mana. Oh, I'm storming off. Oh, I'm winning.
Yeah.
And I don't I don't know.
Except instead of rock, it's like dork, cradle,
Exactly.
rog, thras.
Oh, Boro. Oh, I'm winning the game. Oh, tap, untap. Oh, candelabra. Oh, tap, untap. Yeah, no. Absolutely. Absolutely cannot.
Yeah. I think for me, Magda is always a really annoying matchup. I don't know why, but I think I have the worst luck against that deck where they just always seem to have like the nuttiest hands that stop exactly what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's like, I'm going to go get a God Pharaoh statue on like turn 2, and I'm like, great, thanks.
I'm going to go get a portal.
Fucking portal, bro. I hate that card so much because I've literally seen a couple of times where I've had to talk people out of it because they're like, I'll get portal. And I'm like, what does that do? You kill me, great. And then Blue Farm still drew 10 cards. It's like the Bowmaster problem.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're like, I'll get the portal. That'll stop them. How? Please explain to me how killing me stops them. They're like, well, it's all I can get. There's a dampening sphere, bro. I know you run it. Like, I hate it, but like that's still somewhat better.
Maybe we just don't activate. Just wait for the Blue Farm player to put their Underworld Breach or their Silence Effect down and then win the game.
That's the thing.
Just activate on top and win the game.
Nothing Magda gets is ever fun to play
No,
against.
every time they're like, this is, you know how last week we were like, oh, Kinnan, why are you politicking infinite mana? Magda players, why are you politicking your activations as help?
Because
It's
it works.
never help.
Because it does work.
When
That
you-
one legitimately works.
When you
'cause
say I'm leaving an activation up for help, it's never help. It just makes the board state worse.
I don't know. I've actually like
no.
the God Pharaoh statue has come in handy a couple times. Like the dampening sphere. It just makes annoying games. Or like
It's never help though. That it makes it annoying. It's not helpful.
I still remember my turn 2 win just getting butchered by a Blood Moon, and I was like, great. I hate it here. I hate this deck so much.
I think the most fun I had playing against a Magda was I was on Malcolm Vile, and it was that silly tournament in Wilmington. I mean, it wasn't silly. They were trying a concept where the draws were 0 points. And I was playing against a Magda, and I flipped their God Pharaoh statue on a Ragavan hit with more mana than God from Malcolm and Pirates and what have you. So I just cast it and played Grixis Stacks until I could win.
Stacks is crazy.
I think there's literally a tweet of it, and if I can find the tweet, it will be up in this video. But there's a tweet where I post Grixis Stacks is fun or something, and it's just a nasty board state.
Is there any other decks you find annoying to play against?
Magda was about to be my number 3.
Stole it.
You did steal it from me.
Sniped.
You stole the brain cell. What else? Probably Tyam after that.
I could see that.
The rule of law effects are not fun for any strategy that I like to play.
I am not a big fan of rule of law, so I've played some of the rule of law effects in my Vojo list. I found every game I'd play them, it just made games really weird because no one can push into them. So all they do is hold all their interactions. So anytime you try to do anything, like your deck beats the rule of law, but I find that I end up just getting butchered by whatever the other decks are doing because they can't do anything else. So they're just like, I'll hold on to all my interaction and I'll wait for the opportune time to bounce. In the meantime, you know, here, destroy you that, counter that, destroy that. And you're like, yeah, I get it. Like, what else am I supposed to do?
All I'd ever try to do in Blue Farm was just find a Valley Flood Caller and just do what I could on other people's turns and then wait for somebody else to bounce it and then go.
That's what I like about TNT too, because we just find Seedborn really fast.
Yeah.
You pivot right into like, oh, okay, Seedborn, Thrasios, pass, you know, then I'll activate. One eventually I'll find a flash enabler and then we're off to the races.
Yeah. I feel like your deck gets around them. The TNT is just fine.
I mean, we've joked about putting them in TNT just because of that, but I think
that's
rule laws
that's overcooking. It's way overcooking.
Yeah, but I'd agree. Like the Yam can be
rough.
a little bit of rough,
especially because if people don't know what it's doing, right? Or even if they do know what it's doing, it just kind of causes a spiral effect where everyone's like, I don't know what Tyam's doing. I don't know what that deck is doing. We're gonna crash out over it. We're gonna panic, and it's like, guys, we're okay. Yeah. Until the point where we're not okay, then we're not okay, but we're okay for now.
It is a deck that I think preys on people not knowing what it does.
It does.
And then that causes confusion, which causes people to make bad decisions at the table.
And I hear Tyam players getting frustrated with that too. When people don't know what's going on and they're like, guys, please, I promise you, I'm not lying to you. I'm not winning. Please, let's chill.
They're always one Bowmaster away from it being a bad game for them.
That's true. That's very true.
Or a Bam Devil. Both annoying cards. I'm right there with you, Italian players. I hate those cards too.
I love those cards.
Anything that runs black makes number 3 on my list.
It's crazy.
Black red especially.
What's your next list? Malcolm Vile?
No. Your Malcolm Vile list is easy. Counter or just kill Malcolm.
Okay.
It's like 99% of beating you. Don't let you have
Don't tell them my secrets.
Kill Malcolm really early, and then you just kind of sit there. Takes you off the early Glenhorn, and then by then everyone's got interaction. Then we're fine. We got you handled. After that, you're just bad blue farm.
That's crazy.
I don't know. After that, I mean, Kinnan and Tyam are always... Kinnan, Tyam, Magda are like the 3 that always seem to get me the most.
Yeah.
Sisei can be annoying, but I feel like I've gotten a better handle on that one. I don't know. There's probably some random ass deck that like pissed me off one time I played it, but I've only played against it one time. I'm trying to think if there's like another one that stands out. It's like super annoying. Like it rolled my eyes in the back of my head every time I see it when I sit down at the table. But outside of those 3, and Tyam not even really, like kind of.
Yeah, I was stretching with that one.
I think Kinnan and Magda are like the 2 most eyeball inducing.
Oh, for sure.
Eye roll inducing for me.
And Rockthras.
No, see, I don't. Rockdrass is fine. I have actually only lost to a Rockdrass one time in a tournament.
Rockthras players,
Unless,
get this man.
When I'm on TNT. Let me rephrase that. When I'm on TNT. I want to be very specific about that. I'm trying to think of like another deck. I'm like, I kind of struggle busting here on like another one that like immediately jumps out as rough. This is kind of a cheating answer, but like mono green decks in general.
That's such a cheating answer.
It is, but like I've lost to the gamut of them. Savala, Yiva, what's the...
Isn't it Yisan?
Yisan.
Lumra.
Lumra. I don't know why. Mono green decks just always seem... It's probably because I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's mono green. I'll deal with it later. And then
The Cabbage Man.
Cabbage Man. There you go.
Cabbage Man.
I'm telling you, actually, now I think about it, I think I've lost to every mono green deck. Like, I hit them and they just wipe the floor with me.
That's funny.
I've been knocked out of 3 tournament. No, so the last... Actually, I think about it. So last tournament, I got knocked out by Lumra beating me. I mean, the Kinnan in round 7, sure. But, like, I should have won round 6. And Lumra won instead. And then I got knocked out of the other turn by Cabbage Merchant. And then, what was it? Not the encounter, the cookout. I got knocked out by Yisan. So, like, mono greens had my number lately.
That's kind of funny, actually.
It's like very, whatever flavor of mono green at the month.
You're running like a good stuff deck, and mono green is just like, in fact, no.
So what I've found, what I think has really gotten me on mono green, is they run a lot of removal, like onboard removal.
They do.
And like weird niche removal that's really hard to deal with for TNT in general.
That's fair.
So like, I got Croson gripped. What am I supposed to do against a Croson grip, right? I'm like, who even plays that card? 3 mana split second, and you're just like, sure. I got Beast Within. What am I supposed to do? Like, yep. I get a Beast. Cool.
That's rough.
Doesn't super help when when I don't have a Cradle.
Yeah.
And even when I do, it's like, yay. I mean, it's a token, so cool. Yeah, what other... I mean, I Besaju'd like 5 times. They always seem to have that freaking card. I mean, I literally have lost like a bunch of Cradles to mono green. They always seem to get it.
Good, actually.
I'm trying to think like what other dumb shit I've seen come out of mono green. Just like every... Oh, I got freaking got by the Yisan at the cookout with freaking, doing my Devoted Druid combo. I'm like... Blue farm tapped out. Vivi's got nothing left. I'm like, surely, what is mono green gonna do? Fight spell. What?
Did they fight your hazels?
Fought my hazels with the eggs on the stack, and I'm like, seriously, I'm getting got by a fight spell? Who's running fight spells as teenage?
You're like, it's 2025. What are we doing?
And he had like some 7/7 tree folk thing. I don't even know. So I was like, yeah, that sure does kill the shit out of my fucking
like,
squirrel.
Oh yeah, I'm cooked.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what's the 3 green charm one? Archdruid's charm. I've even got by that a couple times. I think that was actually the one they used. That was the fight damage, whatever. Legolas's quick reflexes has gotten me a couple times.
So
Hate split second. Split second is dumb.
you would admit green is a problem.
Mono green happens to be a problem for me. I don't think you'd give a shit. I think Blue Farm would laugh in Mono Green's face. And I mean, the Blue Farm player in that pod was, but I think I pushed weirdly because he was in seat 4, I was in seat 1. So the Blue Farm player was in a weird spot. I pushed hard, got knocked down. Then Vivi pushed on their turn, got knocked. And so it was just like, you saw untaps and wins because
I mean, I got by Mono Green Cabbage Man. That was the one that tapped the Ancient Tomb to cook my Mayhem Devil. So it's my decks definitely give a shit.
yeah.
It's rough out here.
Yeah, but you should have won that one, right? Like,
No.
Man Devil, if you don't target the cabbage person first and target the other two, he dies, and you're like, cool.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But still, Mono Green.
Mono green.
A
Just
problem.
blanket mono green.
I still think you should stand on business and pick a commander, but, you know. I'll
Mono
let you have this one.
green. This is half my show. I'm gonna make half the decision here.
Okay, sure.
All right. So now that we've discussed decks that we dislike playing against or struggle against or whatever, they're out there, whatever. I guess we'll get into the main topic today. And that is how to choose. So again, 2-part topic, kind of. It's like they both roll into how to choose a CEDH deck, but I think first it's important to identify what a CEDH deck is because we get a lot of questions on this channel, or as coaches, on what the amount of people who message me are like, is this a CEDH deck? And I'm like, no. And like I immediately know, right? Like if I don't even have to read the commander, I already know.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I've gotten some strange ones. I've definitely gotten some strange ones where I'm like, how do you even think this is a CEDH deck? Not to say that like obviously new people are gonna struggle to understand like what I think when you're going from casual to CEDH, it is a struggle to understand why certain decks aren't good in CEDH. I've definitely picked up some decks where I'm like, hey, I think this could be really good. And then as I played it, I was like, oh no, I was totally wrong. This is definitely not CEDH.
Yeah.
That could be for a variety of reasons, right? Colors, or like the idea is cool in theory, but it doesn't really work the way you'd want it to. Or it's like it's fringe viable, but probably not there. Like Voja is a great example. Voja is really fun, and it's fringe-ish. Like as fringe as probably fringe gets, because you're definitely at the mercy at the table, and you're just kind of killing people, and it's funny. It's not good, but it's funny. And the problem with that deck is kind of like the colors are weird. Like if that deck had blue, just splash blue in there, it'd probably be pretty viable.
Honestly, yeah. Counter people and beat the crap out of them.
Yeah.
Or even go kind of hard.
Or even black instead of white, I think would be really good because then you get access to some different elves. And then you also get all the tutors that make your win lines a lot more succinct and easy. Like Jund Voja would be pretty sick. Because white doesn't give you too crazy much. Like it gives you a couple tutors and some other stuff, but everything's like super easily replaceable.
Yeah.
So I think you lose like one of your best, not combos even, but like value plays, but who cares? There's other ones. Because you lose the mirror dude, which is pretty, actually it's kind of big. We just add black to it. And you sans blue, right? We blood pot it.
Crazy.
I'm being greedy. But that, I think looking at that deck, right? Like I was like, this could be like legitimately viable CEDH playing. I'm like, probably not.
Yeah.
Oop.
Yeah.
So we're going to help you identify what a CEDH deck looks like. There's a bunch of categories. We're going to direct through what all those look like. And then the more of those categories that you have, the more likely it is that it is a CEDH deck. And then next week, we're going to talk about once you've kind of identified the CEDH decks and you're like, okay, I understand what a CEDH deck looks like. We want then to teach how you pick your CEDH deck, right? There's a lot of different variables that go into that. Everything from color to play style to politicking style to your current, like your localish meta to kind of the greater United States meta. Some of that's regional, but some metas are very like, they're the same basically everywhere you go, right? Like if you play across every big tournament in the United States, you're relatively going to see roughly-ish the same meta, with some exceptions. Like the California meta is known for being kind of weird. Go Northeast, it's got a different type of meta. Everyone's got their own politicking styles, and sometimes you'll see it go a little bit differently. But the idea here is we're going to help you kind of pick out the deck that kind of fits your play style. We'll talk through what that looks like and how it all works. So First up, though, we got to talk about how do you actually identify a CEDH deck? So we wanted to basically give people the guide on how to choose a CEDH deck. And that way you don't have to text me asking, Jordan, is this a CEDH deck? Not that I don't mind your texts. I actually do enjoy the messages. But the 6 elements that make up a CEDH deck, all CEDH decks will have one of these 6 elements, if not more of them. The idea behind these elements was to help define what makes a CEDH deck a CEDH deck. Now, I pulled these out of my own butt, so if they're similar to other people's or they're, vastly wrong, I'm sorry. I did a lot of work on this. I did not research anybody else's opinion, unfortunately. I probably should have and made sure I wasn't retreading similar ground. So yeah, this is my own personal scale of doing this, and if I screwed this up, I'm sorry. But I think I went through every major commander last night, dictating like, okay, this is how many this is blah, blah, blah. It's somewhat subjective, but I think this still helps you identify, is this a CEDH commander? So we're going to break down the 6 elements and then talk through why some of them are more important than others. So like there's an element in here that if your commander is only this, it's probably not CEDH, but it's still a valuable part of identifying whether it's a CEDH deck. So first element is going to be card advantage. Now, card advantage can mean a lot of different things. At first, I was going to break this into like 3 subcategories. Realized even 3 subcategories is probably not doing it justice. Your first and primary way of card advantage is drawing cards, right? This is your Timnachrom, your Thrasios decks. Who else draws a lot of cards?
In the command zone?
In the command, I think it's like those 2.
Yeah,
like
there's not many.
It's a little bit rare. Timna's busted for a reason.
Timna's goated.
But yeah, these drawing cards is of course really powerful, putting more cards in your hand. So a commander that lets you draw cards. The second card advantage is tutoring. So things like Magda, Sisay, Arkham Daxon. The idea here is really if your commander lets you see any kind of any amount of cards and then choose from those cards, it's offering you card advantage to some degree, and building kind of your strategy around that. The third part is putting cards on the battlefield / casting for free. So this is where a deck like Ral would exist, right? Where you flip it and then activate it and you cast all those cards for free. Something like Atali, putting it for free. Even something like Kinnan, where you're spinning Kinnan and putting cards into the battlefield. Whatever is letting you look through cards in your deck and put something onto the battlefield, right? That's giving you a form of card advantage. Something like exiling, like Obnix, milling, like Glarb, right, where you're surveilling, or Terra, where you get to look at your 5, or you mill 5 and put one in your hand. I'm sure there's others that we left out, but these all churn to your deck and let you see cards, and that's the idea. We want to take cards out of our deck and put them either in our hand or on the battlefield. That is a form of card advantage. Anything that does that, and you'll look, most of the best decks in CEDH have some form of card advantage. If you look at like the top 15, I literally made a list of them, and whether it was Timnachrom, Kinnan, Rogdas, Rogsai was like the one exception in the top like 10, and we'll talk about like why Rogsai is differently busted. But Sisay, Atali, Timnathras, Ral, Kefka, Magda, Dargo, Timna Dargo, Yoshi Thras, Tivit, all decks that do some form of card advantage from the command zone. Card advantage is obviously really important because if you have a reliable source of always seeing cards, right? If your floor is, I get to see more cards, you're probably in a good spot. So the first and the most important evaluation into your CEDH commander is, does this let me see more cards?
That's fair. I've noticed, especially with you on Timnathras, if all else fails, there's the draw cards plan. You still have Timna. Your Cradle's gone, maybe you just have a Derevi and some creatures, you're just going to prey on Timna draws. And I think that's very powerful in the meta.
Timna is a very good floor.
Yeah.
Like when all else fails, Timna beats are not a bad place to be.
Yeah.
I mean, Timnachrom's the same way, right? Like when all else fails, your Rissa gets blown up or countered. All right, we cast Timna, we cast Chrom. That's still a bunch of cards.
Or even if you just mulligan low, you didn't get to the draw engine, Your plan can be, okay, this is a turn 1 Timna, and we run the best cards in the format. We're just gonna see where we get.
Yeah.
And Blue Farm wins games that way. A lot of people joke that you don't have to cast Timna and Crom, but I find a lot of games that I did personally.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's just one of those things where, the commanders that draw cards just mean that you're never out of a game. Like,
Right.
that's why I hate when Timna, or like when Blue Farm players are like, oh, you counter my Ristic, I'm out of the game. No, you're not. Shut the fuck up. You have Timna and you have Crom. You're fine. Go be a big baby somewhere else.
You're behind in the game now.
You're behind, sure, but you're not out of the game.
Yeah.
Now you kill, you blow up Lumra's lands. They're out of the game.
That's out of the game.
You counter Vivi's Ristic Study and they're top decking. They're probably out of the game, right? But,
Or the curiosity they gambled for that they went hellbent for.
Right.
Now they're out of the game.
decks that don't have card draw can be put out of the game. You will never convince me that you're out of this game if you have a commander in the command zone that's relatively cheap that draws cards.
That's true.
Now, if you're like a Kefka, right, where you're on 5 mana and you tutored for a Dark Ritual to get your Kefka out or something, and it got countered, and now you're on like a land or two.
Yeah.
Now
that's out of the game.
That's out of the game. That's also why we'll talk about elements here, but like one of the elements is a cheaper commander. That's why, because cheap commanders just it's really hard to put them down for good because they're just going to crawl back into the game as soon as they get any amount of value. So yeah, when you're evaluating this is the most important aspect. Does your commander draw cards? If you're looking at a commander and it lets you see more cards in some way, shape, or form, then yes, you can tick this box. You get a point. Put a point next to it. That is really, really powerful, really strong. Sometimes that's enough. Not always. Usually you need at least one more element. When I was looking at the top 5,
I was going to say, it's a great floor, though.
It is a great floor.
Card draw is the best floor.
I will say, out of all of the top 30 decks, only one deck had one element of a CEDH deck.
Oh, wow.
Only one.
Only one.
And technically, you could argue 2. Technically.
Yeah.
So the reality is that most CEDH decks are going to at least have 2 elements. The others that were like really low, which we'll talk about towards the end, have different abilities that almost ignore aspects of the element system, which we'll talk about. All right, so the second element now is, does your commander offer a mana advantage? Now this, again, comes in a variety of flavors. It can be something like a Seiko, where it's a dork in the command zone that also turns your other cards into dorks. It could be something like Kinnan that doubles the crap out of your mana. It could be something like Rowan or Ral again, where it reduces the cost of cards and makes things cheaper. Anything that...
Or a Vivi.
Or a Vivi.
A huge mana battery in the command zone, which is great.
Yeah. Malcolm, too. Something that makes treasures.
Malcolm, yeah.
So anything that provides a mana advantage to some kind. Does your commander make mana in some way, shape, or form? Help you build up a big mana base? Whatever, right? You can even put Rog here to a certain degree. Because
Interesting.
one of the reasons Rog is so powerful is because he immediately turns on things like Monk's Amber and things like Paradise Mantle and things like Springleaf Drum, turning those on from turn 1 and guaranteeing you access to very quick mana. There's an argument to be made. And that's why I say some of these elements are subjective, and whether a commander fits into them, you kind of have to use your best judgment. But this is an important aspect to it, right? Because if your commander's not going to draw you cards, then they need to make you mana. The 2 resources in Magic that matter the most are cards and mana. In CEDH, most decks are choked on one or the other, right? If you're a deck that makes a lot of mana, cards become a struggle. If you're a deck that draws a lot of cards, mana becomes a struggle. The idea is to balance those out the best way possible, right? That's why Blue Farm runs a lot of treasure generators like PFB, Smothering Tithe, and some of these other ones to help kind of mitigate the mana issue to some degree, right? In a world without Dockside, you need ways to make mana that help you get through the game. That your cheat card. You don't have it anymore. That's why Kinnan's so powerful, though, right? Is he makes a ton of mana, but also can convert that mana into cards.
Yeah.
So commanders that can do both, which are rare, are extremely powerful. Magda's actually... This is why Magda's so powerful despite being mono red. Not only does it make mana, but it also converts that mana into usable cards. And those usable cards happen to be also a win outlet. So ends up being really powerful. But yeah, this is like in my opinion, this is the second most important category because your commander has to do something, right? You can't be like if you look at the most popular commanders, just go to EDH Rec and pull them up, right? The most popular commanders don't really meet even any of these elements. And you'll kind of see that. So if you go click on top commanders, the Ur Dragon kind of does, right? It reduces the cost of your dragon spells. Whoop de doo da day. Your dragons don't do anything in CDH. There's like 3 viable ones, so it doesn't really matter. Edgar Markov doesn't make mana or draw cards. Atraxa doesn't make mana or draw cards. Krenko doesn't make mana or draw cards. None of these decks see a ton of CEDH play. Y'shtola kind of sees some play, but the fact that you have to make players lose 4 more life and you have to cast mana value 3 or greater spells is kind of a detriment to that deck. But it does draw cards and it is CEDH viable-ish. Kaalia sees play from like one person, but again, it has similar issue of you have to have the cards in hand. So it's kind of letting you see more cards because you can put cards onto the battlefield, but it's not taking cards out of your deck, which is the more important part of card advantage.
Right.
Someone like Lathril, right, doesn't let you see more cards. Yada doesn't let you see more cards. Joda doesn't really let you see more cards. I mean, kind of does, but again, it takes a lot to like get them going. But if you look, there's a reason like a lot of these really strong decks that make up the top 30, 40 cards in the format, or Ishin, Miram, Firelord Azula, Chatterfang, like these really popular decks, Necrobloom, Bellow, Bard of the Brambles. These decks don't see play because they don't meet some of these aspects that you really need to meet if you're going to play CEDH. Right? Your commander has to do one of these things. There's plenty of decks in here that are CEDH viable, right? Like Pantlatza has seen some CEDH play, but we'll talk about like why Pantlatza doesn't work. Sauron has seen some CEDH play. Yuriko sees CEDH play. The Wise Mothman has seen some. Miss Bumbleflower, there's not a lot of group hug in CEDH. Vivi sees play for the reasons we've talked about. Kenrith sees plays for the reasons we've talked about. So these decks kind of showcase that you have to have at least one of these 2 elements, right? If you're looking at your deck and you're like, okay, well, it doesn't have any of these elements, it's probably not CEDH viable. But there are decks that maybe you want to work around, right? And there are 4 other elements, so we'll talk about those. So because it can't just be, oh, I've got card advantage, and that's it. That's all you've got going for you. Or, oh, I've got mana advantage, but that's all I've got going for me. Your cards still have to do more. Like I said, there's no card that I saw except maybe one, arguably, and that was Crick.
Yeah.
That only thing he did was offer a mana advantage.
Yeah. But that's enough to get them there. So that's why that's the exception.
Right. Well, and it's arguable, right? But he still doesn't see a ton of play.
No.
He's like super fringe.
It's super fringe now.
Yeah. So now we've talked about that. The third element is, does it win with the commander? So
this is a big one.
It is, right? It's like, I think it's almost like 3A or 3.
I think it's almost like 1A to card draw. Does it draw cards? Can you win with it? Because I mean, that's what makes the Thrasios X deck so powerful.
Yeah.
That's your outlet and your advantage engine.
I mean,
Beautiful.
The thing is, most mana decks are also that's how they win.
Right.
Is still with their commander. Like I was looking at most of them, and it's.
I mean, Malcolm too, right? I get my little treasure a turn, but if I drop that Glinthorn, better deal with it.
Well, like Kinnan.
Oh yeah.
Usika's like one of the exceptions, but if you look at like another dork deck or another commander dork like Zexara, he wins with the Freed from the Real Pimenzora combo. So like even he's a win in the command zone. But wins with commander can be broken into 2 parts, right? Either the commander is part of the combo, so like we talked about before, Malcolm Vile with Glinthorn, or
Tivit Time Save.
Tivit Time Save, Kinnan Basalt. What are some other combos of commanders?
Magda Clock of Omens.
Yeah, there you go. Anything where it works directly with the commander, like the commander has to be on the board to make it work. To get to the infinite part of it, the commander has to be there. This is both good and bad, right? Good because you always have access to your commander, so it's very easy to set it up. Bad because if your commander is disrupted, the combo fails.
It's also a super telegraphed way to win.
Yes.
And also does just kind of always make you the threat, especially speaking from playing Malcolm decks, right? Anytime Malcolm hits the field, it's You tutored. Is it in your hand?
I always
You
assume it's
kept
in your hand.
first 7. Is it in your hand?
It's always in your hand. Or there's a tutor for it. You know it.
No.
The first black tutor is always Linhorn.
No.
The second part of that is the commander the outlet? So do you make infinite mana, for example, or do infinite things another way, and then use the commander as your actual win?
That's your Thrasios decks.
Thrasios is like the poster child of this, but you have some others like Marnius Calgar. If you make infinite mana, does the same thing.
That's true.
Urza does the same thing. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Technically, does Timna Dargo count here, or is Dargo part of the combo? I guess he's technically part of the combo.
For Dargo loops,
Yeah.
he'd be part of the combo.
So not Dargo, even though it's kind of weird.
Do we count Sisay if we make infinite mana and do infinite
100%.
Sisay? Yeah.
100%. Sisay is hard, definitely an outlet for the win. It's definitely. I'm trying to look at some other decks here. Oh, Lumra. Oh no, Lumra's part of the combo. Never mind, I lied. You need Lumra to loop back around.
Yeah. No,
My
it's
bad.
like the whole combo.
Time.
Tie him.
Time's an outlet because you do the infinite activations.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So time would be like another one. Yeah. Technically, Rocco is kind of an outlet. Technically, or is he just part of the combo? Either way,
Nagila. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
But you kind of see, right? Like this is where it's like kind of subjective. But your commander is the reason you're winning. Most of the decks at the top of the format are very commander. Like I'm winning because of my commander. There are some exceptions. Roxai is an exception. You could argue like some of the breach centric decks, like definitely your 5-color breach decks, very commander agnostic. Most decks, though, looking through here, are very much like I need my commander to do the thing. Again, Kyric's like the one exception. Like you don't technically need your commander to do the thing, but man, does he make it way easier. Like all the combos are technically Kyric agnostic.
I was gonna say he makes it possible to combo off on like 2.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
He gives it the turbo element. You turbo out a crick turn 1, turn 2, you're sending it.
Yeah, but like the rest of these, like Rowan also kind of technically falls into the same kind of sense of Keurig, where it's like, hey, my Rowan is not technically part of the combo, but it enables it all to work very quickly. But if you couldn't cast Rowan the entire game and you just set up naturally, you could still technically find the win.
Yeah.
Eventually. Right? Like without my I guess I mean like Thrasios, right? Like I could make infinite green and then what? I'd have to find another filter.
Right.
Which would be problematic. So yeah. But yeah, so this is really important, and this is kind of that third really important step. I don't know that you're still CEDH viable if your commander only wins, right? If it doesn't offer mana or cards and it only finds a way to win, I don't know that it's powerful enough. I could be wrong about that. I haven't seen one where it's only, at least not one that was popular in CEDH, where it was only an outlet for a win and it does nothing else. I could be wrong. Maybe there is a deck out there that is that, but I haven't seen one.
Yeah.
That's played CEDH.
I mean, you need some type of card advantage or mana advantage to make a commander outlet in the zone worth it.
Yeah. The closest I saw was like Muxus, but even Muxus gives you some form of advantage.
That's true.
So.
And that's really French.
It's very
It's
French.
a super French CEDH deck.
Yeah, but I was really struggling. I had actually said Fire Lord Azula earlier, but like Azula technically gives you mana advantage with the firebending ability. So like, because I was like, oh yeah, like that one doesn't really, but no, that's mana advantage, right?
That's the thing. I feel like the mana advantage or card advantage categories are just so prevalent.
Hashaton is close. Hashaton is really close because it doesn't draw you cards, and it doesn't make you mana technically, but you could argue that the mana advantage comes from its discard ability,
right,
where it like significantly reduces the cost of stuff.
Right.
So it's kind of like, okay, sure, right?
I would count that as mana advantage.
It's close.
If you're making something cheaper and getting it straight to the battlefield.
Yeah.
Man,
it's
I
like,
remember the hype around that deck.
Yeah, the deck fell on its face.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the fourth element to a CEDH deck is access to colors. Now, this is kind of a weird, super subjective category, but the idea here is that it's not even the more. There are certain colors in CEDH that are just better than others. We know that, right? We know blue green and blue black are probably, and blue red are probably superior to any other 2-color combo that you can find. 3-color generally superior to 2-color, not always. Kinnan's super busted, so it does the thing. But if you look at the top most popular played commanders, right? Timnacrom is 4-color, Rockdrass is 3-color, Rock-Sai is 3-color, Sisay is 5-color, Timnothras is 4-color, Kefka is 3-color, right? Most of these decks are 3-color at a minimum, unless they do something ridiculously busted. So our exceptions to having 3 colors or more are decks like Kinnan, which is crazy. Atali, insanely busted. Ral, which we all know what Ral does, right? And blue-red is arguably just as strong. Blue dash deck is arguably just as strong at 2-color as it is on 3-color. Maybe it's just like a tick weakness. The idea here, though, is that would the deck be better if just given an extra color? Now, that's a weird question because, well, yeah, every deck is better.
Right.
But like, for example, right, if you were to take a Atali deck and give it blue, is the deck better? Is it a better teamer deck? Arguable, because now you have things like Displacer Kitten.
That's true.
If you were to give it white, it's better because it's got things like Ephemerate and some of the flicker spells.
And Smothering Tithe.
Yeah, black would make it more consistent. So making it red-green makes it like significantly less powerful, right? Like, yeah, you get the ramp that you need to ramp it out, but you lose a lot of the consistency and protection for it that you could otherwise have had.
Right.
Something like Kinnan would be insanely busted if it had literally had any other color attached. It doesn't even matter what color.
No, it doesn't matter the color.
Disgusting. Sultai Kinnan, gross as hell.
Yeah, no, don't give them tutors. Don't give them tutors. They do not need tutors.
Teamer Kinnan, to the moon. To the moon. Stonks to the moon.
No.
Something like Ral, right? Like, these 2-color decks are strong, but they would be stronger if they had access to more colors. And the idea behind this is to talk about the 5-color turbo decks, I think is where this category really shines, because most of these decks are just okay, right? Like, this is where you get away with the deck like Jensen Loris, where it's like, this deck doesn't do anything, but it's 5-color, so it has access to everything. And Loris technically gives you some advantage, technically, by letting you see cards out of your graveyard.
Yeah.
So if you build around it, technically, but like,
this is where we get the toolbox commanders. This is our Kenriths, Asikas, Terra, Nagila.
Kenrith makes, actually, like, ticks a lot of the boxes.
It does tick a lot of the boxes.
Right? It is card draw in the command zone. It is an outlet for wins. So
I feel like the format just kind of
just expensive.
moved past it because there were just cheaper things to do.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the idea here is access to at least 3 colors or more makes the deck just a little bit stronger. And some strategies are kind of built around the idea of, like, the reason this commander doesn't see a ton of play is because of his colors. So, like, Time is a 3-color deck. Time doesn't see a lot of play because people don't traditionally look at Absent as a CEDH color pile. Mostly because blue is just ungodly busted in CEDH. That's really what it comes down to. Blue is just dumb. Yeah. Having access to Ristic and Mystic and all the clones for the enchantments and counter spells.
And all the counter spells to protect it.
Yeah, you just get everything in blue. Yeah. So that's why if you look at the top even 10, 15 decks, most of them are blue, right? Timnacrom, Kinnan. It's Timnacrom, Kinnan, Rockdrass, Rock-Sai, Sisay. Atali at number 6 is your most popular. And Atali busts the game in a completely different way. But man, Atali would be really gross if he did. But then you have Timnothras, Ral, Kefka. It takes Magda at 10 to find another one.
Right.
And again, Magda's another deck that breaks the game in a fundamental way.
It just has insane advantage in other categories that make up for the fact that it doesn't have blue.
How could you imagine Magda if it had another color though?
Is it Magda? Would go crazy.
Bro, I'm thinking like red-black Magda.
Rakdos Magda would also go crazy.
You just pull out the freaking Bullet Citadel every time.
Or give them Smothering Tithe.
Ew.
Get to 5 treasures like nothing.
No, I don't want that.
Boros Magna.
That's actually really funny.
Right.
Yeah. No, It is like I said, this is a super subjective one, but when you're looking at your commander and your access to colors, really have to define what, like, is this commander good enough to overcome its colors, right? So, like, a deck like Magda is good enough, besides the fact it's mono red, right? There's a reason monocolored commanders don't traditionally see a lot of CEDH play, because you're very limited on game plan, win cons, and card pool. And so you have to kind of weigh out, okay, I'm limited on my card pool, right? So like a deck like Vivi, I'm limited on, a lot of the card pool that I could pull from in CEDH, but is Vivi's abilities powerful enough to where it doesn't matter? Probably.
Yes.
We can actually say yes, that it very much is, right? Is it still a very strong color? Because again, we find that blue, it seems to be the exception to the color rule, right? There's a reason mono blue Urza is relatively popular and pretty strong deck, whereas like, besides me, right? Mono green doesn't win a lot unless you're playing me. For the most part, right? Unless it's like Lumra does see some play because Luma's really hard to interact with because it has some unique abilities around it.
Right.
Lands being just a very strange archetype that CEDH is not prepped to handle.
Right. We don't really see like mono white though.
No, you don't see any mono white at all. Mono white. We actually talked about this. Mono white is trashed here.
Yeah.
Sorry to Char players and Oswald Fiddlebender players, and I don't know if there's a light pulse player.
I don't know what else. I can't think of anything.
Heliod, whatever, right? You guys are, what's it, the Gandalf player? Y'all are down bad. Then you've got Mono Red, which has seen some play.
I mean, there's Magda, there's Muxus,
Godo. They really took a hit with Dockside, though. A lot of these decks were just like all in on the turbo plan. We're doing nothing. We're not trying to stop anything. We're just going to gun for it and win.
Right.
And I think that strategy took a hit losing Dockside because now the plan is just like a tick slower, and that's all the mid-range decks needed.
And now the blue decks can develop, and then your window is just closing after that.
Yep.
Mono black decks. We still see Crick occasionally.
It's just him, though.
Yawgmoth?
Every once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
Yawgmoth is fine. Yawgmoth is weird because it just kills a lot. So, but I played against it when I was playing Blue Farm, and I slapped it. Slapped the shit out of that deck.
That's just because you go Underworld Breach.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The deck has no agency except to kill creature decks. So as long as you're not playing a creature-centric deck, you're basically fine.
Yeah.
Play Blue Farm, and you just roll right over that deck like it's nothing.
Yeah.
So the next element then, once you move past access to colors, is your commander cheap? Mm-hmm. So we define this as 3 mana or less. The idea behind a cheap commander is turning on your commander as fast as possible gives you access to the wide range of your game plan as quickly as possible. So first, it gives you the benefit on turning on things like Mox Amber. Like we talked about, like Rog is so powerful here because being able to turn everything on turn 1, guaranteed every game, no matter what happens, I know I can turn on these cards turn 1, which means I can build around these cards and put them in my deck. Things like Paradise Mantle, Springleaf Drum, Mox Amber are really important and powerful and give you really good mana boost early. The Rock Dust deck specifically also gets to get away with the nonsense of playing Gaia's Cradle turn 1 and having it immediately online. Like, that's such a powerful advantage.
Hate that.
Yeah. I mean, I've
hate that so much.
I've seen Gaia's Cradle in my opening hand a few times, and I look at it and I'm like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Right? Like, sucks in my deck. I usually have to develop a dork first, and then I get to play Cradle, which usually I have. But, like, there's been definitely some games where it's just Cradle, and I have to...
Oh, no, poor Jordan.
Yeah, whatever.
Only Gaia's Cradle.
It does suck.
Whatever will I do?
It does suck when it's your only land, and you're like, no. Like, I've seen a
poor
hand...
baby.
I saw a hand with, like, 2 dorks, a Cradle, and a bunch of, like, rocks, and I was like, wow, this is such a crazy mana hand if I draw a land. Any land, doesn't even matter. A land. And then I did it one time. I just kept it in a practice game just to see, and I drew Emergent Zone. And I was like, all right, I didn't need any land. Like, come on. Come on. What the fuck?
Yeah, man, I hate this game. This game is stupid.
It's the kind of shit that made me take Gemstone Caverns out of my deck. I draw it like when I need something else, and I'm like, seriously?
Yeah.
Fucking colorless
It's never
lands.
a rainbow land when you need it.
I didn't even need a rainbow land. A fetch. I think I had an Esper. I think it was 2 dorks and an Esper, if I remember right. So even like a white hitting land was fine. Mm-hmm. I just needed a land that played a dork or my Esper, and we were to the moon.
Just give me a Tundra. Give me a Tundra.
A Savannah would have been perfect because then I had to turn 1 dork, or a fetch land would have been perfect. But no,
not allowed. You can't have nice things.
So
Gaia's Cradle players don't deserve nice things.
So, I think it is a practice game. That's why I don't take these risks in real games, because
No.
I do that shit that I just
yeah.
lose. So yeah, cheap commander, because it turns on your stuff really early. It also turns on things like deflecting swat, deadly raw like fears. Even something like Louis Schwaz, like you have to sack, or flare of the flares.
The flares are really good.
Yeah. So
Especially with Rog specifically.
Yeah.
Flare of dupe something. Beautiful.
and again, this is why Rog, despite being maybe our one exception that doesn't make mana or draw you cards, is still really powerful because it's a very cheap engine that you just build around. And that's why I said, arguably, you could argue Rog is mana, right, to some degree.
I mean, people put it in blue farm for that reason.
Right, he's a Mox.
Start throwing it in there and say, oh, my Mox Amber's on.
Mox in the command zone is extremely powerful.
It is.
There's a reason people have been calling for the Rog ban for
So long.
so long.
So long now.
Yeah. I mean, he makes up, if you look, I mean, even with Rog Ishai, right? He makes up now more and more decks at the top of the format. Already.
Rog Thras, Rog Sai, Rog Ishai.
I mean, between him and Timna, there's a lot of decks that are something Timna or something Rog.
Right.
So you definitely could argue those two decks are the problem in the format, or two commanders are definitely the problem commanders. If we were to look at this from a 60 card window and be like, who are the problem children? It's definitely Timna and Rog.
Oh, yeah.
They'd have eaten the band so goddamn hard in
Oh,
60 cards.
so long ago if this was 60 card.
Also, buy my Ristic. That would have seen a long. Honestly, I think this copy enchantment thing is going to see the end of Ristic Study it anyway.
You think so?
100%. I almost think there's a movement to try and get Ristic banned, and that's why they're doing it.
I mean, there's been a movement to get Ristic banned.
But nothing is going to ensure Ristic gets banned more than copying it 3 times and building an entire deck around. I just want Ristic and I'm going to copy it, and it being more and more successful the more and more decks switch over to that game plan.
That's fair.
The entire format's just about to be, let's just copy Ristic. Which it was already trending
we're kind
in that
of
direction.
already there.
Well, it was
honestly.
trending that direction with the Kinnan, with Waffle's Kinnan list, but I
Exactly.
think the Rog Ishai is now doing it. I've seen more and more decks slotting in Mirror Maid and Copy Enchantment and Clever Impersonator and Flash Photography. And so I think it's just getting to a point where it's like every deck in the format is either I want to
Ristic.deck,
well,
essentially.
it's either I want to speed past the Ristic or we have become a Ristic deck.
Right.
And
if I don't speed past the Ristic, I'm gonna have the Ristic backup plan and clone the Ristic if I don't get there fast.
Yeah. So cheap commanders really powerful. There's a reason decks like Tivit, some people get really gun shy around Tivit because it's so expensive. It also means that you can't run cards like Fierce. Well, you can, but your Fierce is not online for large chunks of the game. It's a 3-mana counterspell, which is bad for CEDH, frankly. I've even seen some of those decks drop Fierce. Things like I've seen Kenrith drop Fierce for a while.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, your commander that's cheap. And if JLo ever gets back, there's kind of like a sub point to this one where it's like if your commander can be cast with JLo.
Please, 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 please.
Like all it needs is JLo. So cards like
Right.
Sisay, Malcolm, Najila,
Gila, yeah.
Gross, and Busted.
Yeah.
Anything that's like I crack JLo, I cast my commander. Because I do think JLo will return at some point.
Please, 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 please.
Maybe not anytime soon, but at some point it'll come out of the vault. Maybe it gets very bad again, but the last category, and this is again the cheap access to colors in this last category are like less important. That's why I was saying, like, if you're a cheap beater, it doesn't matter. And so that's the last category is beaters. Anything that pressures life total. Now this can happen in one of two ways, right? Either you pressure life total with your commander directly, or the deck is designed to pressure life totals. So something like Yuriko, where it hits really hard.
True.
Not necessarily because the commander's doing anything, but because the deck just throws out a lot of damage.
Right.
But when I think about like beater decks, I think about decks like Atali, right? Where Atali hits like a truck. And especially if you flip him, he starts to threaten life totals. Kron can even fall into this category. Tivit, Kenrith, really anything with like 4 or more power.
Voja.
Voja's.
The wolf.
See, Voja actually ticks a lot of these categories, right? Because he.
But it doesn't tick a lot of other important categories.
Right. But he gives you card advantage.
He does.
And he's a beater. That's actually all he gives you. That's
Right.
the reason why
he's going to say he doesn't have a lot of the categories.
It's not a man advantage. He doesn't win with the commander.
No.
Access to colors is.
It's bad.
Yeah, Naya's not.
Naya's a little rough.
Naya's not the strongest.
When you don't have
strategy.
card advantage, Naya's a little rough.
Not the strongest category in CDH. He's not cheap.
No, he's not cheap. But
So,
he
yeah.
will beat the crap out of you.
Yeah.
And Jordan will laugh.
I will laugh. I'll have fun with it while it's happening. Omnix though is like another one. Vivi can do the damage thing pretty well.
Ishai. We were just talking about Rog Ishai. You get that murder bird out. It's going.
Marnius Calgar, double striking Marnius can be funny. Atraxa is like a big 7/7 that just hits you in the face. And Agila pressures life totals really hard with its token plan.
Winota, when that was bigger.
Winota can do that. So these decks are all decks that we've talked about it on the show. The idea behind damaging players, it forces them into non-optimal windows because they have no choice. They just have to gun for it, which then allows you to kind of dictate the game plan of how that flows. And if you get to dictate the game plan and dictate, okay, you can't send it until this moment in the game because I'm going to keep hitting you and forcing you to do so, it helps your game plan really well. And it also means that decks that want to do the copy heuristic and sit behind it forever can't do it, right? They don't have time to sit there and accumulate value. You're already hitting them in the face really hard.
Same with the flash effects, right? You can't sit there behind your heuristic or behind whatever it is and just sit on your Valley Flood Caller or your Born Upon a Wind and say, oh, I'm just going to wait until everybody uses their interaction. When you start taking eight commander damage to the face, 10 commander damage to the face, oh, that's a murder bird at 15. You can't.
Yeah, now you have to go. Now you have to send it early, and that gets people off of their heuristics. It's like I said, I think that's a part of the game plan that CEDH has missed is decks that really pressure life totals hard and force players into non-optimal windows.
Right.
But really, I'm sure that someone's going to sit here and say, well, what about this commander? And we're going to have missed it. It won't meet any criteria on our board. I looked at like the top 25, 40 commander decks, whatever. I have like a long list here where I even tallied up all the points for them. And so if you look at like a Timnacrom, right, it has 4 of these aspects, right? It's got card advantage. It's got access to really good colors. Timna's really cheap, so you can put a lot of your stuff online early. Crom's a beater, and so you can pressure life total. I've seen people get eliminated with Crom. It's really funny when it happens.
Oh, yeah. People forget about combat damage.
Yeah.
You should not forget about that.
Well, even like, too, I've seen like some of the older ones with like Sarah Ascendant, too, also really hit hard.
Oh, yeah. We had a list cooked up like that.
Yeah, where you just pressure life totals hard. I've definitely hit some Rockside players and forced them to rethink their lives. So they were like, and I'm like, here's 10, buddy. Take 10 damage. And they're like, looking at their Necropotence in their hand, and they're like,
why does turn 2 Necro feel bad?
Yeah. Or all of a sudden they're like, man, I don't think I survived.
I don't wanna.
You have a deck like Kinnan, right, where it's 5. You've got your drawing and mana advantage in the command zone, or not drawing, but card advantage. You have wins with commander. It's cheap, and you could argue access to colors, right? Because Simic is still powerful enough that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, would it be better with a... That's where I say some of it's subjective, right? But Simic is a good enough color combination in commander where it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, I think any Simic deck is pretty damn close to CEDH. Like, there's a lot of them that are very close.
Oh, yeah.
Even something dumb like AC, where it's like the super expensive Sea Serpent. He's still... Turns out ramp and Ristic Study are just strong enough to just do everything on their own.
Our first 2 categories, card advantage and mana advantage.
Well,
shocking.
And blue and green give you the best access to those as well. Like, even if your commander doesn't necessarily meet those criteria, it does. Everything else does. There's like a secret 7th category that I put on here, but I honestly couldn't find a deck that's CEDH viable that is in this category. But does your commander do something insanely busted that doesn't meet the criteria? Okay. So I was looking for like a list where it's like, okay, you don't technically meet the elements of a CEDH deck, right? But you do something else crazy strong that kind of gets around that. So like the one deck I was looking at really closely when I was going through this was Norman Osborn, where he doesn't draw cards, but then he does connive on the front. So technically that's not even true. So I was like, that doesn't work. But like the idea was his mayhem thing on the other side is really powerful. But I was thinking to myself, is like, doesn't this give you access to more cards? Isn't this just a form of card advantage?
Yeah.
Just like I get to replay all the cards I've ever played. And like Azula was another one that like I was really close because she's seen some CEDH play. But again, you get technically mana advantage. Firebending. Lumra was like another one where it was like kind of close, but you mill cards, so you technically get advantage.
Right.
So that's what I was saying. Like, if there, I think that there is probably some commander out there that's like has like some busted ability that just doesn't fall into a category. I just haven't seen one. Mm-hmm. I'm sure someone's going to point it out though and be like, what about this? And I'll be like, yeah, well, I don't know. He's fringe. Whoever it is that I'm now thinking about. But like most of these decks I've seen are like, this is the form of them. Like Glarb was like another weird one, but like I think Surveil is
a form of card advantage.
But also being able to play cards off the top of your deck is a form of card advantage. In a way, right?
Sure.
Giving you an extra 8th card.
For sure. Also, you have a mana advantage, just being in green, getting to ramp.
Yeah, I agree. Right, like you definitely there's no deck that sees a lot of CEDH play where it's like they don't do anything else. Like let's look at like a lot of these decks. The one exception seemed to be like the 5-color turbo decks, but again, access to colors does solve that kind of issue. So yeah, I think when I'm looking at it, like these elements seem to make up the vast majority of the decks. So when you're looking at it, the idea here is to put your commander in as many of these categories as possible. The more categories that it meets, the more likely it is that it's a CEDH deck. Now, certain decks, like we talked about, Keurig doesn't have card advantage. He is mana advantage, right? Being the cast everything with your life, basically. Makes stuff super cheap or super easy. He doesn't win with commander, though, right? Like we said, every combo is technically agnostic of Keurig. Access to colors is bad, right? If he had access to literally one more color, any other color, he'd be that much more busted. Being mono black does make it a little rough. And like we said before, he's the only mono black commander that sees a lot of CEDH play. Yawgmoth kind of, but it's really just those two. And Yawgmoth, hilariously enough, is the opposite, right? Where he has card advantage and removal, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The only other part you could argue is he's a beater. Right? He is a
beater.
He is a big face. So you could actually argue he's got 2 categories. And that's what I was saying. I don't think there's a commander in here
that only has one exclusively.
Like Lumra has 2.
Right.
Right? Technically 3. Card advantage, wins with commander, beater. So 3.
That's fair.
So not
if you want to put it in the beater category, that's fair.
Well, I think it can be. It makes it. I've get hit with that bear when it's like a 12-12 before. Not fun. Tayam is like on the lower end, but you do get card advantage. You do win with the commander. You could argue in a way that it's mana advantage because he's putting cards onto the battlefield directly. But I do think that's more of a form of card advantage.
Yeah, that's still card advantage, I think.
But either,
I see what you're going for. Yeah.
So he's like 2, arguably 3. But that's where it's like, he does a busted thing though.
He does.
And that's always important when you're looking. That's why, like I said, there's a secret 7th element, which is like does a busted thing. Because then it doesn't matter. Arkham Dagson's like another one that's only a 2. Because he gives you card advantage and he wins with the commander, but you're only on blue. He's not cheap. He's not a beater. And you don't have any mana advantage with him.
Right.
So, but the thing he does is very busted. So even though he's only a 2 on our scale, technically you could add that 3rd element of he does something busted.
He does do something busted.
And so that's where I think when you're looking at these categories and you're trying to identify what your CEDH deck does, these are all the elements that are like, hey, this CEDH deck is really powerful because it does all these things. So what next week we're then going to do is talk through how to pick a CEDH deck, then knowing these categories. Like we now know the categories, we know what a CEDH deck looks like, right? We can look, the idea here is we want you to be able to look at the EDH rec top commanders over the past 2 years and be like, no, that's not a CEDH commander, and really look at the decks that are. So like if we look at the top 10 decks, right, we can talk through why each one isn't a CEDH deck. The Dragon only meets one element, right? It's technically mana reduction, but because that mana reduction is so narrowly focused on one archetype, doesn't meet any of the other criteria, right? I guess you could argue he's a beater, but beater does not matter.
It's not good enough on its own.
This is where I was saying some categories are more important than others. If it's just in the beater category, it's not strong enough.
No.
Right? He does have access to colors. So you can argue, okay, well, I've got access to colors. He's a beater. He's mana reduction for something. But the idea here is you need to be able to analyze and say, well, that mana reduction doesn't matter. So you can take that off the board. Access to colors, if I want to make a 5-color turbo deck, I'm probably just better with a cheaper commander than I am with Dragon, unless I'm just trying to catch people off guard, which is funny.
I've seen people try that with the Dragon.
I have too.
Funny enough.
Yeah, and he's a beater, right? So There is some semblance, I guess.
I mean, it's not nothing.
It's not
but
nothing.
I don't.
A better example is Edgar Markov, actually, right next to it, right? Edgar does, like, he's expensive.
Yep.
He's not in the greatest colors for, like, Marduk's not terrible, but it's better if, like, it's a turbo strategy, which a 6-mana commander that can't be reduced is not probably part of that strategy. He doesn't make mana. He doesn't draw you cards. He makes bodies, which is, like, but they're only very specifically vampires.
Yeah, and they're not even in the color to take advantage of
Right.
of Cradle making bodies, right?
So he doesn't actually do anything to help. Atraxa is another one. It's expensive. It's technically a beater-ish. I mean, 4 isn't, like I said, 4 can be a beater, but an access to colors isn't bad. But outside of those two things, it doesn't have anything else, right? It doesn't win with the commander. It doesn't draw cards. It doesn't make mana. Krenko is like another one. I guess Krenko technically can win with the commander.
Yeah.
But, like, that's all he does, right? It only wins with commander. It doesn't.
It's mono red, so you don't have the colors.
Nope.
You don't have card draw, card advantage.
Nope. You really have nothing with Krenko that you would want to see in a CDH deck. Y'shtola, Esper's not terrible colors. It does draw you cards, albeit not in the greatest way, but it does let you see cards. It's not a beater, though. It doesn't win with the commander. It's very commander agnostic. So again, like, it meets two of our categories, which is card draw is the most important one. So at least it hits that, and Esper is not a bad color. And this deck does see some CEDH play, so it's not bad.
No.
There are probably just better strategies, and that's the other thing you have to really analyze is, yeah, this card does do the thing, but is it better than the current meta strategies? Also, that also kind of goes back to, and we'll talk through it next week, like, what is your goal? Which I don't want to talk too much on that because we'll get into that. Kalia, like we said before, Turbo Mardu is you probably want a cheaper commander for Turbo Mardu. Its floor, like, you don't, it's weird, right? Like, it gives you kind of a mana advantage in putting stuff on the field for free, but it doesn't let you see anything out of your deck, so it's weird.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. It's not a beater. No. It really only, and it doesn't win with the commander, so it really only has the one thing going for it, which is it puts stuff on the field for free.
Right.
So it just has one of the categories,
Right.
which is why it's very fringe. It's only seen play by, like, 1 or 2 people.
Right.
Pantlatza, same thing, right? It's not cheap.
No.
It's Naya is not the greatest color pile for CEDH,
No.
but it does let you see cards.
It does.
It can be your win outlet. So it does have two of the main categories.
That's a good one.
4/4 also not too bad for doing a ton of damage really quickly. And because it's Discover, I think you get to put, is Discover where you put 1/1 counters on it? I never know. I don't know. Maybe. Sauron, big beater, draws you cards in good colors. Right? The reason this commander doesn't see a ton of play is because
It's expensive.
it's very expensive. And it's expensive for Grixis, which is why I said access to colors is always important when you're talking about this.
Right.
If he was blue, black, white, he'd probably see more play.
Probably. But in Grixis, when you have things like Rogsai, how can you justify
Yeah.
6 mana commander?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I think he's still a great breach deck, but he's just so expensive. 6 mana is a lot. You're asking for a lot.
Yeah.
Which again is why you're weighing these different elements, right? It does the card draw in the colors outweigh the cost and no mana advantage, and in colors that traditionally don't give you, like, a way to, like, get a 6 mana card out really quickly. I mean, it's tough. That's really tough to do in that deck, in those colors. Like, you've got some of, like, the rituals, which help. But, man, 6 is, like, that very awkward cost where none of the rituals quite get you there.
Yeah.
Like, a Dark Writ pays for your colorless and or black. Your J-Will pays for your colorless and your red, but you're still on your blue-black. It just makes it really tough to even ritual into him. But once you do, he's really strong. Lathrel's, like, again, he's creates bodies, which is fine. And then you can lose life with them. So he's a kind of a beater, but that's all he is.
Right.
Beater and bad colors for CEDH. Yuriko.
Yuriko is CEDH viable.
Yuriko is, and the reason why, right? Blue-black isn't bad colors.
Yep.
Commander's very cheap, and repeatably cheap.
Yep.
Which we probably should have added as, like, a category under cheap. Because Derevi is also in that same front of, like, it's guaranteed to always cost a very specific amount of mana.
True.
Yuriko is always going to be blue-black, almost always. Pressure's life totals in decent colors, cheap, and card advantage.
Right.
Like, it gives you kind of everything you want
Right.
And Demir is just like really good controlling colors. So
I
yeah,
was gonna say, in like a subcategory and to the color conversation is like succinct win conditions, right? Like they just have Thoracle Consult in there. Red can just pull out Underworld Breach when they want to.
well, and that's
So
why I
that's
said
part of the like color pie conversation.
right, and that's why I said certain strategies are really powerful, right? That's why you can argue like Sauron's like 6 mana commander kind of sucks for Grixis,
Right.
even though his abilities are really powerful, and he would be great because he has a wheel on a stick, so like makes breach really easy. But I think if you took away one of the colors and made him a white, would he see more play? Like as a 4-color good stuff deck, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Because then you get access to Savines, which makes it kind of interesting. I don't know. Maybe he'll make a comeback. Maybe we'll see a 6-mana commander again. I know we don't see a lot of 6-mana commanders.
We really don't.
There's a reason Cheap is on this list as like really good. Like we talked about Kenrith. Kenrith used to be the toolbox commander, but he's so expensive.
He is so expensive.
That it's really hard to justify.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so next week we'll talk through how to apply this knowledge then to picking your own deck. But hopefully this helps you identify your, like, whether the card is CEDH. And you don't feel the need to ask somebody, hey, is this CEDH viable? And I can tell you, no. Like 99% of the time when someone asks me, I'm like, no.
No.
Or it's like, maybe it's fringe. But if you put it into this chart and you're like, okay, I get access to a couple of color. Like, it's cheap and it's fine and it draws a card. Like, I think it's fine. Sure.
Yeah.
So this is just to help you identify. And that way, we no longer asking ourselves, is Ishin a CEDH commander? Spoiler, it's not. It's cheap. That's literally all he's got going for him. He's cheap.
He's cheap.
Bad color. Well, Martyr's not bad, but Martyr's not great either. No mana, no card advantage. Doesn't win with the commander. He's not a beater. So, all right. Well, I think that will conclude that conversation. I guess we can go ahead to audience questions.
All right. So first question is from Dave.gzzz. What is your opinion on interaction in your role at the table? I'm on Blue Farm and it feels like I'm constantly pushed to play table police, which isn't how I typically like to play.
So my opinion, interaction should be used to save for your win attempts. So the best way to use your interaction is to not use it. And so what I mean by that is you'll see this a lot of like higher level players, right? Where they don't actually interact. They'll show a piece and be like, well, no, okay. So there's kind of an idea behind that concept, right? If I show you a piece of interaction and you look at it and you go, oh shit, okay, I won't cast my spell. That gives me 2 pieces of information. One, you can't beat my counterspell, which means you have no interaction yourself. And 2, it means that there's one less person I have to worry about when pushing, right? Those 2 key pieces of information are really, really valuable and crucial for how to play the game. From there, because then you can if you can kind of start to assess the odds of the other 2 players, it opens up your window to then push your own win. So in my opinion, I'm never going to be the police. It's just not my role. I'm not going to do it. You try to make me the police, it's going to end very poorly for everybody at the table. The best way to not put yourself in that position is just you have to stand your ground, right? If people are going to try and priority bully you, you just look at them and say, look, before you pass priority to me, I want to be very clear. I don't got shit for this. This is going to resolve if you don't counter it. I've had this happen where like you'll see a Blue Farm player's drawn like 6 or 7, 8 cards and they're first in priority to counter and they'll pass. And I'll be like, before you pass, I'll be very clear here. If it gets to me, it is going straight through. The idea here is you're going to lose regardless. If you're the one always countering, you're going to be in a position where you're losing, right? Because you've lost all agency at the table if you're now just sitting there with nothing to do. Other players now have all the agency to do what they want. A Blue Farm player drawing 8 cards means that if they truly don't have a counterspell, then they've drawn gas, and you probably need to keep your counterspell, which again gives you a politicking point then when someone's pushing you to do it. The opposite side of that kind of coin, though, is that if they truly do have something and they're trying to sandbag and they're trying not to use it so they can defend their own win on their turn, that's why I say you've got the option of saying, hey, I will not counter this. If it gets to me, I just won't counter it. Like, I want to be very clear about that. I'm willing to lose. And you have to be willing to lose. Make them truly reconsider, oh, okay, I'll counter it, whatever, right? Don't let them get away with, I got nothing. Be like, look, I'm not going to counter this if you're not going to counter it. Like, clearly, I'm willing to lose. I'm losing either way. If they say, well, I don't have a counterspell, all right, then show me your hand. Show me you don't have a win or your counterspell, and then I can counter this. Mm-hmm. They're not willing to show that. That means they're winning, or they have the counterspell and they're lying to your face. Mm-hmm. Either way, at that point, you say, cool, cards down. I'm good.
Also, like, this question is from the perspective of the blue farm player, right? So,
well, it doesn't matter, right? Which player it is. It's whoever is in the position of getting bullied. Any player can be bullied on any deck.
Yeah. So from the perspective of somebody that played blue farm and that tried to, people tried to make me table police, I would also start pointing out other things going on the board. Like, yes, I understand I'm blue farm with Heuristic Study and a Lotho. I got that. However, Rogthras has 3 Cradle untaps, right? They have a Candelabra and a Gaia's Cradle and more mana than God. Like, yes, I'm drawing cards. Let's let them flip Thrasios a couple of times or, whatever it is. And then we'll talk about what I may or may not do. I just kind of point out what other people have relative to what I have to kind of show I'm not the only one that has to be the police here. I'm not going to be the only one countering stuff just because I'm farm with a study.
And that's one thing people forget. Even when you're winning, you can still be the one directing traffic. Mm-hmm. Like I've loved before where I'm like, someone's pushing win and I see a player with a counterspell. I'm like, hey, before you use your counterspell, just make him use his spins. Like if it's a Rogthras or a TNT or a Dogthras or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. I'll be like, hey, before you cast your counterspell, like you've got me beat, whatever. Just make him use all of his spins. So you're not going to counter anything unless he starts spinning. Mm-hmm. That way we at least know what's going to happen going into his turn, and then we can kind of figure out a different way to politic this. If he spins into a Boro and 2 pieces of interaction, then we can go, okay, hey. Instead of you countering me here, you let this go, make him use his interaction, and then maybe we just draw, or I'll use, instead of winning with this piece, I'll just get value out of it.
Right.
And we'll find a way to fight through that if we want to keep playing the game.
Right.
Kind of depends on where we are in the tournament.
I was going to say the amount of times I have had to say, okay, look, yes, I know I'm winning. I know I'm the problem. However, you should not be the one doing this, right? There is another person with substantially more resources than you. I'm fine with whatever it is getting countered. Please don't just immediately lose to them.
Exactly. And I think people forget about that a lot. Like,
yeah.
Just because I'm winning does not mean that I just have to sit there stone silent.
I mean, people get tunnel vision on the big scary thing, right?
Yeah.
The breach, the Nas, whatever it is, and people just kind of rush to like, oh my God, we have to stop this. But that doesn't mean you should get bullied by other players into letting them win the game.
Agreed.
All right, next question from Corden Lee 0703. I want to start off by saying thank you for your brainchild tree farm. It's helped me get out of the rut I was in with TNT by giving me a new way to experience the deck. My question, though, is how should Oculus be effectively used? I feel like it goes poorly most of the times I play it. You love the Oculus.
Oculus is one of our best cards. I kind of would want to know, and I probably just reach out to you privately, understand kind of what you mean by going poorly, because even if it's cloned, we still have we can use it better than most other decks still. Like Rogthras kind of can. I've had it cloned or stolen by Rogthras before, but I still won. Like we really just need one rotation of it, and we pretty much rock the table. Mm-hmm. There's 2 ideas behind Oculus. One is you can either go for it very early and make it like your value play and get lots of value out of just, I'm going to make a ton of bodies and hope I get creatures. And if not, then I'm going to cast Tymna and I'm going to start attacking with all those bodies. And I'm going to draw cards and I'm going to get value. The other idea is I set up something like a Enduring Vitality or Cradle or Growing Rights, something that's going to take like a value out of all the stuff that I'm doing with Oculus, and then I start to use the Oculus. So that's the 2 ideas behind it. Even like Seedborn Muse can be really strong because then it lets me start flipping up stuff really fast. Mm-hmm. I like to go for it really early in most of my games where I play it. So like if I see Thras Neoform and I can get it into it quickly, I will. Because I think it's one of the most powerful engines in the deck. It churns through cards like nothing. It just makes your board so wide and hard to deal with. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to understand a little bit more because I think it's one of our best cards. I mean, honestly, just play it early. As early as you can. That's my best advice.
As I say, this is a TNT centric question. So, what this man said.
That's where I've had the most success with it. I will neoform happily into it as early as turn 2 or 3 if I can.
Oh yeah, Oculus goes crazy on your boards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a nutty card.
Yeah,
I've actually tried to thought about building around it more.
I don't blame you.
Like you can almost get away with some of the reanimation stuff. Maybe adding Razakaf to the deck, but I feel like then you start to teeter too far from what makes it good.
Yeah.
But I think there's a build out there. There's probably a build out there. There's a build for everything.
I'm sure there's a cook. Okay, last question we're gonna do for tonight. This is from Nova Commander 7023. How do I learn to balance my yap? I feel that I've developed bad habits from my locals being new players, forcing me to yap a ton, but when playing against experienced players, I feel like I'm hurting myself.
That's a tough one. That's really tough because it is two different politicking styles. I feel like a lot of times with newer players, I'm almost like I was saying before, directing traffic at the table. Mm-hmm. Better players, I feel like I'm not politicking as much as I'm deflecting, right? Because all experienced players are all deflecting.
Right.
They're always pointing out how their board's not a problem, which is always bullshit, right? The problem is and it's kind of like what I've said before, right? Arguing from the table. So instead of, they'll always be pointing at the board state and being like, you're scary because you have this, this, and this, while completely ignoring whatever nonsense they've got going on. Mm-hmm. And so the best way to argue back is to say, yes, I absolutely have this. You are correct. However, on balance, that is not better than what that on your board is. I would gladly trade boards in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. And I think as long as you keep that, right? And some players that are more experienced will get, it's not aggressive, but it's forceful. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they found success in talking not down to people, but over people. Mm-hmm. And so when players do that, just kind of let them ramble for a second and be like, all right, now that you've said your piece, I'll be very clear, your board is just as scary as mine. These are two very balanced boards, right? If they are, be honest. There's no reason for you to sit there and be like, no, my board's not scary at all. Players do that.
Oh, yeah.
To varying degrees of success. I've definitely been able to get away with some nonsense where I'm like, hey, I'm not scary at all. Most of the time I'm joking, right? Because TNT, it's very obvious when you're scary. Though I've definitely had a couple games where someone's like, oh, he's got 2 dorks and a fish. He's the scary one. And I'll look on Blue Farm's board and they've got Tithristic. I'm like, whoa. Hold on, bro. Hold on. I am not the scary threat here.
Until you explode out of nowhere and win.
Well,
let's be real. You win those games too.
All decks can do that though. Mm-hmm. If it's a CEDH deck, it should have a turning point where it becomes explosive and wins, right? Where you've either overwhelmed them in value, and you're just like, here I am, I'm kicking your teeth in because I've got the mana advantage or the card advantage or whatever advantage I've gained in the game. Mm-hmm. So all decks should, in theory, if it's a CEDH deck, should turn the corner and be like, oh, I've got you.
Yeah.
Right? So TNT can surely do that. But telling people I'm the threat implies that you need to begin to 3v1 or at least 2v1v1 or 2v1v1 to the 2 players that aren't the threats, start to try and work together to dismantle the 2 players that are a threat. The problem with that strategy is if you over dismantle one player while not dismantling the other player enough, then you create a very unbalanced situation where it creates an opportunity for the player that hasn't been dismantled to very easily win. Mm-hmm. The reason Blue Farm is so strong in the meta, and I really think this is why, is we don't run any enchantment removal at all in CEDH. Outside of Abrupt Decay, we run more generalized removal, but there's no hard, outside of Besage, there's no hard removal for most enchantments. Mm-hmm. So because of that, it allows decks like Blue Farm to build up this crazy advantage on their engines, and then decks like TNT, Kinnan, Kinnan less because it also does the enchantment thing. But the Rockgrass, TNT, and some of the other creature-centric decks have to build more creature-centric boards, which are a lot more vulnerable to removal, especially things like Bowmaster and Mayhem Devil and some of the other stuff we've talked about on the show. Mm-hmm. And that creates kind of this disproportionate advantage. And it's also scarier. I don't know what it is, but creatures more scary than enchantments, which I disagree with, but hey, whatever. This is how it is. So when you're politicking against these higher level players, just think of it like this, right? One, you're a traffic cop. The other, you're a politician, right? Where you're trying to be like, whoa. We're the deal maker here. We're going to make deals and we're going to try and, gaslighting is wrong, but I'm not technically being like super honest about what's going on my board, but I'm constantly wanting to point out what my opponents are doing, right? And scream at the top of my lungs about how my opponents are the bad guys. So like politics.
And also sometimes accepting that at those experience tables, because this is Tim, so like at those experience tables, I've seen him yap from a position of like, oh, well, I'm winning, but like it's not that bad, guys. Like I'm ahead on
This
board.
is Tim?
Yeah.
This is our Tim?
Yeah, this is our Tim.
Oh yeah, Tim, stop politicking when you're winning.
Yeah,
Just
stop
say,
politicking when you're winning.
like, guys, I'm winning, but like, who cares? I'm
Yeah.
like, brother, no.
Yeah.
This is the Kinnan assault thing all over again.
The other night, he tried to yap me out of winning with Underworld Breach. I have a breach on the stack, and he is like, Lily, you can dismantle the Arkham player. If I let this breach resolve, you get the red blast out of your graveyard, and you dismantle Arkham. And there's this whole back and forth between him and the Arkham player. And finally, at the end of it, I'm like, brother, if this breach resolves, I'm winning.
That's different, though. He's not politicking his own win. He's politicking yours.
No. If I dismantled Arkham, Arkham would have passed to him, and he would have won.
Oh, I mean, that's still different. I think that's different.
But still.
It's not like he put breach on the stack and been like, guys, let it resolve. Like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. That's.
You tried to talk me out of my own win. That's worse.
I don't know. I've done that before.
That's insane work.
I've done that plenty of times, actually. Be like, don't do it, buddy. And they'll be like, oh, okay. I'll be like, sick. I didn't have to show anything.
You're like, oh, sick, that worked.
Hey, sometimes the best tool in your arsenal is your mouth. Yeah. So I guess that's it for questions today. So let's get to the meta. All right, so for the meta, we're going to be breaking down the CLG CEDH Showdown 40, the Road to Greatness. Really typical meta, I thought. This is actually more typical than what you normally have been seeing lately. Jace obviously took down the event on Rageshai. This deck, I think, is kind of the new hotness right now. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Like, I think it's funny. I don't know that it's... I think Jace is just really goated. And Zach is really goated. So I don't know if I think the deck is that strong or if I think two very good pilots have been playing it very well. Yeah. But I guess it remains to be seen if other people pick it up and run with it. The deck obviously has some kind of legs. Interesting top four, though, or maybe not interesting. Rogthras kind of making a pretty decent comeback in this event. Kinnan, obviously, we always see it there. Then Selvala Explorer returned. I think this deck's kind of a sleeper deck. Yeah. I've been cooked by this deck a couple times. This deck goes way faster than most people realize. Like, as long as it hits a couple of the untappers, it just... It's like quick.
Very meta deck, very meta deck, very meta deck. Sleeper deck.
Yeah.
Which I feel like we've seen in a lot of our top 4s and top 16s lately.
That's probably true.
There's always one or two.
That's probably true. And then another Rogthras, Glarb, which we haven't seen in a minute. Okay. Yoshi Thras. Then Timnacrom, Vile Thras. I think we're just going to see more Vile Thrases popping up.
Oh, yeah.
Dahada, which I haven't seen Dahada in a minute, but Timnadargo, then Timnacrom, Scion of the Ur Dragon, which always pops up here and there, and then Rogthras, Timnacrom. So a lot of
blue farm, but I saw people saying that's just what the Texas meta is.
Yeah.
It's just so much blue farm.
It's not super surprising.
No.
A lot of Rogthras, too. So, like, a lot of blue farm, a lot of Rogthras. A lot of some off meta, right? Like your Selvala, your Dahada, your Scion. But still decks that have seen a decent amount of play, so not, like, overly surprising. Not like...
Yeah. There's nothing that's like, why are you here? How did we get here?
Not like last week. It was like weird deck after weird deck after weird deck. Yoshi Thras popping up. There's a lot of Thras decks, it feels like, in Texas. So very interesting. Yeah. Honestly, big takeaway here when looking at this tournament is I still think Spice is in. Mm-hmm. I think just some metas are going to be a little bit more meta leaning than others, and Texas seems to be a little bit more meta leaning.
Underworld Breach is still goated.
Is this the event where the dude got arrested?
I don't think so.
I'm not
the meta. Sure though.
I want the meta from that event. I want the tea. Someone give me the tea.
Why did that man get arrested? What was he doing?
I don't know. I've had some games with some people who should be arrested. Anyone who plays Turn 1 Deafening Silence, get them out of here.
Guys, Cradle players, get them out of here.
Oh, whatever. Whatever.
Jail immediately.
Glint Horn players, bye, Lily. Straight to jail.
No. I'll talk my way out of it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but definitely interesting. And
Yeah.
so, all right. Well, that's all we're going to have time for today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Like always, please like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, like the TikTok. We really appreciate all the support that we've had from you guys. And like I said, next week we will be tuning in for part 2 of our How to Pick a Deck series.
Yeah. Join our Discord as well. Drop questions in the Discord. We're doing our best to be more active there. So we really appreciate your engagement and your questions.
And we're so painfully close to 1,000 subscribers. So please, please, we want to be at 1,000 before 3 months. That was our goal when we set out on this. We're at 899, which is already kind of annoying because, come on, just get us to 900.
We've been there for like 24 hours.
But we'd appreciate it. I think we might do something special at the 1,000 mark. I'm not sure yet, but that's something we're kind of talking about and planning. So, yeah, thank you, everyone, and see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.